strange sometimes. Yeah. They told me don't make a promise you can't keep. Everybody live a little, everybody down. Yeah. I guess fuck it. That's life. What you gonna do? Man, I swear that's what I dream about. That's life. Maybe I will spend it all with you. Yeah. Well, that's life. What you gonna do? Everything is jazz and I'm stuck. That's life. Maybe I will spend it all with you. Yeah. Can I please get a standing ovation? 100 naked bitches in my dressing room waiting. We lost a lot of blood for this fucked up nation. That's life. What you gonna do?
Welcome to That's Life Podcast, Episode 5. Our sponsors are myself and Alison, because we don't have any. Yet. But, without further ado, I'd like to welcome my co-host, per usual, Alison. Take it away from here, beautiful.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again, Jordan, my love. I'm excited to do another podcast. We were not on last week, so that was kind of a bummer. But my best friend was in town, so we were out doing activities.
Yes,
but
I know we were working on being more consistent. Still working on that. It's a work in progress. So we're back at it again today. Back at it again, Daniel. So we're here now, and today's topic is going to be about cleanliness and organization, because I feel like it's a crucial part of life that helps life go easier and ultimately declutters not only your space but your mind as well. And it's super important that you try to stay as organized and on top of stuff and cleaning as possible. I don't know what your thoughts are on the subject, but I'd love to hear them.
So cleanliness and organization have been not one of my best subjects growing up. I've struggled with it a lot, and when I was younger, I even remember we used to have cleaning Fridays. My aunt used to literally lock me in my playroom and would make me clean, and I absolutely hated it. It was the worst. I don't know why, but cleaning was just, I was the worst cleaner. I would literally just shove everything into a closet or shove everything under my bed, and yeah, that was how I kind of cleaned and organized for a really long time. But growing up, I've done so much better about, cleaning my space and keeping my stuff organized, because it really does truly make you feel better. And I don't know where it really even started when I, first started doing it, but probably listening to a podcast or reading a book. And they were talking, they were like, start small, like baby steps, but start making your bed. And so that was a huge thing for me. And it was really important because I never wanted to make it, but I would do that one thing. And just how much, I know it sounds silly, but I heard it and I did it. And at the end of the day, I would have, a chaotic day or whatever. I would come home and I would open my bedroom door and I would see my bed made and I would just be happy. I'm like, oh my God, yes, like I need that. And so it kind of just stemmed from there. And I feel like I'm, a pretty cleanly person these days, but it definitely took some time to do that. And especially we'll have to talk about later on. I know we can kind of open up on this subject, but again, I will bring up my sobriety, because when I was, drinking and doing drugs and stuff, I didn't care about my surroundings necessarily at all, really, and if I did, I didn't have the energy or the drive to want to help out, doing anything for myself. So I was just living in like filth.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Not that, I definitely have had my fair share of experiences with different substances throughout the years. And I noticed, I believe we were talking about this the other day, with drinking in particular, not that I had an issue with it where it was like really super negatively affecting my life. It definitely had its own instances where it did negatively affect my life, getting into stupid stuff I shouldn't be doing. But in this area of speaking about cleanliness, it ultimately, like I used this example the other night when I was talking to you. If I was going out to drinking on a Friday night, I'd probably come home 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd be tired, just take my clothes off, throw it on the floor. Wake up the next day, slightly hungover, definitely not in the mood to clean. Somebody would hit me up again to go out Saturday night. I'd be like, all right, I can go out again Saturday night. Go out again Saturday night, get drunk again Saturday night, come back Sunday, and I threw my clothes off again. There might be some food wrappers or plates or some random nonsense in my room that I didn't feel like cleaning up. And because I drank 2 days in a row, I'm definitely not going to clean Sunday. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm probably going to lay in bed until 2 or 3 o'clock, eat again, watch some Netflix, and then go to bed and go to work for the rest of the week, and not really, if my room gets messy. And then you compound those week after week after week, and then all of a sudden you're doing that for a month straight, and then you're like, damn, I got like five pairs of jeans and 12 hoodies and underwear and socks all over the place, and I really need to clean this. So that's how, like, to correlate with that was my experience with it. Not drinking barely at all these days. It really has definitely made me more aware of my space and less tolerable when stuff gets disorganized. It definitely helps clear my head when I'm working or just existing in a clean space. I'm able to focus more, and I'm not as anxious, like noticeably different in that. Then to touch on like what you initially were talking about with your childhood cleaning experiences, my childhood cleaning experiences, my mom was very, very, very on top of keeping stuff clean, and there was the wrong way to clean stuff and the right way to clean stuff, and she would not accept anything other than the right way, her way, which as an adult, the way she taught me how to clean stuff is, if there is objectively a right and a wrong way how to clean stuff, was the right way. It was just very thorough with the right products on a consistent basis. You know, like how to wipe mirrors down and not leave streaks, how to like, I remember, for an example, I had my own bathroom growing up. I didn't share it with anybody. And if I didn't clean the bathroom the correct way, or it wasn't up to par, my mom would make me clean it again. She wouldn't be like, oh, that's good enough. She would be like, you need to clean out. There's streaks on there. You need to clean the toilet better. You missed a spot right there. Oh, you didn't clean up around the toilet. You didn't comment your bathtub and scrub that out. So, and she was like that through the rest of like cleaning, with making my bed. And during the summers, we used to have a chore chart, and one of them was making our bed. She would make a bed like a hotel maid and would like use hospital corners, and she didn't necessarily expect me to do that, because even still to this day I don't know how to do hospital corners. But she was very thorough when it came to cleaning, when it came to anything involving that. So like as an adult, I look back and I'm grateful for that, having witnessed like my parents do their best to keep things organized and keep things clean. I mean, a house gets lived in. Especially growing up, there was 4 people living in a house, and now it's just me and Allison living here, but it still gets lived in throughout the week. If you're working, I'm working, you're doing stuff, we're both doing stuff. We're not like super critical on it, but we usually are pretty good about either you'll clean, or we'll have a cleaning day, or I'll clean, or I'll vacuum, or we do pretty good about sharing the load or doing it together. And we try our best. I mean, a house, like I was saying, a house is lived in. I don't expect perfection out of it on any given day, but it is definitely helps when you at least keep up with it, so it doesn't become overwhelming. And the next time you clean, instead of it taking 2 hours to clean everything, it might take 45 minutes because you just cleaned it the past week. So what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, so I don't know if maybe that was kind of why this was the cleaning days that I had, the Friday cleaning days. Obviously it was once a week. That was from my aunt who babysat me when I was really young. And then after that, when she wasn't watching me, like I never really had chores or was, had to clean my room. I was never told that I had to do any of that. I was always just like, kind of left, like that was my space, and so my mom would keep, their area clean or whatever. But it was like, yeah, it's your room. If you want it dirty, you're the one that has to live in it. And so I never really had that like reprimanding, I guess, to make me keep my room clean. I never was forced to make my bed or do anything like that. And even, she would like do my laundry and stuff for me. So pretty much that I would put it away. But what I was going to say is because I dislike cleaning so much, but I always would let it go for I don't know how long, but I would let it go like pretty bad, but then I would do that. That was my cleaning style, was I would let it get really bad and then I would go through, and I'm like an immaculate cleaner. I would, start scrubbing stuff and like do everything, like make it pristine. And I was good at, I had that in me because that's how my grandma was, and my mom was pretty clean too. My dad definitely didn't clean. She definitely cleaned up after all of us, but which I could imagine. Now I understand as a person, like you said, with two people, I'm like, it is almost a full-time job keeping a place completely clean. But I would let it go, and then I would just go through and spend hours. And I think that it would make it even more daunting. Like sometimes, and I would have to be in the mood too. Like sometimes I'd just get in the zone and I'd do it, but then it would be like, okay, well, I made cleaning seem to be such a big job that I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want to spend a couple hours cleaning day, so I'd put it off and put it off and put it off. But really learning how to clean it pristine that one time, and then just cleaning a little bit as you go and like keeping up with it makes it so much easier. Like you can do like 15, 20 minutes a day and literally keep your place just about, perfect, a little bit longer, but it's really, it definitely just helps with, keeping your mind clear, keeping the anxiety down. It's really frustrating and time consuming when you have a messy place and you can't find what you're looking for. Like that's another thing is like, if I'm especially clothes or something like that and I'm, wanting to go do something and I'm kind of on a time crunch or whatever it may be, then I'm looking for the thing that I need. And I'm like, where is it? I can't find it. And so you're just adding on more in time and more stress and more, frustration with yourself basically, because you're the one that created it in the first place. And I don't know if it's a quote or whatever, but it says basically that your surroundings and how you keep your outside environment is just basically a reflection of your mind. So if your mind is messy and all over the place and chaotic, like you can basically tell how a person is by the way that they live. And another one I'll throw in here is they say when you're going to like interview somebody for a job, they're like, all you have to do is go out to their vehicle and look at how their car looks. And that's a good representation of how they are, because it's like how you take care of your belongings. Like, do you have pride in them? Do you, take care of yourself? Basically, you can tell like how organized this person is by looking at how organized their surrounding, how their environment is.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I understand that. I think that's a good philosophy to keep. Through the years, it's been a learning process to prioritize cleaning and taking care of stuff, but I had a good example set by my parents, and I did learn that like keeping up with stuff makes things a lot easier. Even like cleaning a car and also car maintenance. I've learned that the hard way over the years. I wouldn't maintain a car the way that you should maintain a car. I probably would let stuff go over an oil change 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles. I would there's something would slightly start being wrong with it, and then I would just kind of ignore it, and then it would turn worse, and probably a $500 repair turned into a $3,000 repair if I just went and took it in and dealt with it then. So it's definitely a learning process, and I do think, which is interesting because I do personally know certain people that are extremely organized, I believe. I haven't worked with them at all or recently, but I believe they're extremely organized at work, but their surrounding environment, like going over their house or in their car, has been like, they seem to have their shit together at work, but they're outward, I don't know. But like then I also try not to be judgmental at all about it, and like I don't know what's going on in their mind or where it prioritizes, because I do know time is a factor in all of it. So but that's an excuse to a certain degree, And then it's eventually like you need to make time for it. Like I understand stuff gets messy. You got stuff you got to do on a day-to-day basis. Maybe isn't a priority one day, but eventually out of 7 days in a week, you're going to have an hour or two of time. It's all about your priorities ultimately. I guess where I struggle with all of that is how people don't make the upkeep of certain things a priority. Like, because as much as you could be like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine, it doesn't matter. Like, it does matter for the fact of it. From my own personal experiences, it affects my mental clarity, and you have this like looming anxiety kind of hanging over you. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing this thing now. I should be cleaning, and you're not, and then you just keep doing that, procrastinating, pushing it off, and it just, every time you're doing anything, it's always in the back of your mind. So going and just thoroughly cleaning something, getting stuff organized, putting it where it needs to be, and then whatever you're doing, it helps me personally, where I'm not dwelling on what I should be doing at home or what happened, and then I'm kind of beating myself up when I'm like, if I go out to dinner with a friend or I just pushed it off and decided to lay on the couch all day on my phone. It makes everything more enjoyable, and then you're able to focus on whatever it is that you're doing because you don't have this thing looming over you. So I ultimately find it interesting how either people aren't acknowledging that aspect of it and are able to be numb to it to an extent, but not maybe realize why certain things are why they're having certain thoughts or why they have this anxiety. But I will definitely say it's not going to cure your anxiety. Maybe it will on a certain like case-by-case basis, but it'll definitely help. I remember even as a child, I had a desk in my room, and that was the thing was always my messiest, because I would just throw school papers on it and homework and books, and it was my catch-all. And I always remember my dad would he wouldn't get mad at me for having it, but he would be like, you need to clean your desk. You need to clean your desk. You'll feel better after you clean your desk. You'll feel better after you clean your desk. You need to. So he would sometimes he would even sit there with me because he wanted me to clean it. And sure enough, as a kid, I remember cleaning my desk and my room looking so because my bed maybe would be made, my laundry would be put away, the floor would be cleaned and vacuumed, and there wouldn't be but there in the corner of my room there would be a desk with mounds of papers. And as a 10-year-old kid, I don't know why you need mounds of papers. It's all nonsense, or they're whatever it is. And so we'd be sort through it, see what you want out of it, throw the rest away. And I do always remember doing that and feeling better after, being oh wow, my room does look a lot better, and I don't have this weird energy, that's this stagnant energy in the room. It feels more alive, and everything's flowing better. Even as a kid, I realized that. I don't think I necessarily quantified it in that term, but I remember feeling significantly better and more energized in my room after it was clean. I don't know if you've had any similar experiences like that, or you could relate to that at all.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same exact way. I know that I didn't know why that it made me feel that much better, but just seeing my bedroom all organized and cute, and my bed made and this and space and everything, it just made me feel good. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, it just feels good. I just like it. And now learning how, like you said, with the energy, it really is stagnant energy. Dirty laundry in your room, and that was one of my biggest culprits for a very long time, because I had baskets and baskets of just laundry, dirty laundry, clean laundry everywhere, so many clothes. And yeah, I didn't want to do it. I just would leave a lot. I wouldn't be at home. I didn't want to be there because it wasn't my comfy safe space. I didn't feel like it was cute and, homey. And so I would just be gone all the time. And it literally being messy, and you might not even realize it, and you might think that, oh, it doesn't matter, like you said, or you might not care, or you're telling yourself. I feel like it's denial, because it's, like you said, that looming feeling like you do care, and it erodes your confidence, because you telling yourself something like, hey, I'm going to do my laundry today, or I'm going to do these dishes today, and then you don't do them, you literally just didn't follow through with the promise to yourself, and that is going to make you like lose your confidence. And especially like if you're having someone over, like I've been over to people's houses before, and I know that I've probably done this too, where they come over and you don't, it's kind of last minute and you don't have a chance to clean up and like make it look good for them. And they're like, oh, like, sorry, like, don't mind the mess. And it's just like a disaster in there. You know, it's like, I hate that feeling, but like, dude, you know how good it feels when you have your place clean and it smells good and it's nice and like you're super proud of it and you like want people to come over to be like, you want them to feel comfortable when you get there and you want them to feel, you know, not even like, I don't care that they're like, oh, your house is so nice, your house is so whatever, but just like that they come in and like, even in their head, they could say it like, damn, like this person keeps their place clean. And this is something, this is one thing that, when I went over to your house for the very first time, like was very meaningful to me. Like that stuck out a lot. Like that is another, it was, I mean, it was little things that added on one after another for my attraction towards you. But at this time, obviously we were just friends and I came over to your house and like, I remember how clean and organized it was. And I was like, for, you know, two dudes to be living together and like have it be like this cute and homey and clean, like whether it's, you know, pristine all the time, like the fact that you even went through the act of cleaning it up and doing that before I came there, like that meant a lot. And, you know, it would get like a little bit messy sometimes, but we tried our best to, you know, keep it up and everything. But that really, I was like, damn, like this guy's house is cleaner than mine.
Yeah, that's another shout out to my parents where anytime guests would come over, on top of cleaning the house at least once a week, which was always Mondays after school, would be like clean my bedroom, clean the bathroom, vacuum, all that stuff, take the garbage out. If any guests were coming over, there would be a more stringent cleaning. It would be another cleanup day. Which I'm happy, like I think that's a good thing to do. Like I know me personally, like what you were saying about when you go over somebody's house and like don't mind the mess. Like like I said already, I completely understand that. Like we're all living, we're not on it every day. Like I get it, but there's a difference between like a day's mess or a week's mess or months messes or years messes.
Yeah.
Like you could tell the difference. You're like, oh yeah, there's a plate over here, there's a shirt over there, like there's a couple shoes all over the place. Like no big deal. If you go there and, you know, there's just, like, newspaper piles and piles of shit.
It's like
and
hoarding.
Yeah. And boxes of shit and mail. And, like, you're like, this is... Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the mess. It's not my house. But if you could live this way, kudos to you, man. Like, this is giving me anxiety here. So having guests over, though, or just living in it, it makes it... You want to be home if it's clean. People want to be over your house. I know if I go over somebody's house and it's organized and nice and... they did their best with what they got to make it comfortable. You want to be there. You're like, oh yeah, they're taking care of their stuff. They obviously have some pride in it. I like this. I want to stay here. And it helps. It helps if you're having guests over to do that. It helps if you're going over to somebody's house and you're their guest. Like it just ultimately, it's just a better environment and more welcoming. Like, you know, you don't have to move stuff off the couch to sit down, or you don't have to, like, you're not scrambling for pillows and blankets when it's 12 o'clock at night and you're trying to go to bed and they're moving shit, trying to, like, it's, if that happens, it's fine, like, but I don't quite understand that mindset or mentality, but to each their own. Ultimately, this podcast is to try to elaborate on the mindsets that I've had with it and try to help other people evolve as well. As I'm still evolving, I'm sure I could be cleaner. I'm sure I could be organized. I know now my thing that I'm working on organization is involving work. I'm trying to be more organized with where I keep documents, where I keep sheets, because I started at a new place and there's a lot more computer work, and being an electrician for 15 years, being on a computer was usually my phone, or it was to fill out something for a job site, but it was all app-based. It wasn't just sheets and emails and files. So I'm learning that organizational skill. Hopefully I could carry that over to some other aspects of my life, like my own personal computer. Not that it's a mess, but having places for everything and knowing how to keep it more organized definitely just helps. If you find things quicker, how to navigate quicker. So it is all a work in progress, and I understand that some people are at different places with it, but ultimately, just having a clean environment, whether that be on a computer or your home or your car or your wardrobe even, is just ultimately makes you proud of what you have, and you're taking care of it, and you're because you're taking care of it, maintenance and upkeep is easier the more often you do it, and it's ultimately less stress. I mean, it shouldn't be a consuming thing where because you could this could go two ways too. You could be a messy person and not clean anything and just be numb to it, or you could be a hypochondriac and OCD and everything needs to be in its place, and then you're spending all your time, all your waking moments making sure everything has its place, it's put back away, everything's straight, everything's like perfect, and you can't function. So like with most everything in life, there is a balance with it. That you need to put your due time in, but you can't overcommit to it where it's consuming your life, and that's all you're worried about is just making sure your things are clean and everything's organized, and this is that way, and if it's not that way, you can't function. So finding that balance is crucial, and I think that with just by starting, if you're not started, will help you find that balance. And if you feel like you're on the other extreme, you probably are aware of that too, and there's some deep down control issues there that you need to kind of reevaluate, essentially. And back to another thing you were touching on, I do remember when we first got together, going to your house. Your house was really organized. Like it was good. It was clean. It wasn't crazy. The only thing that I ever noticed was your laundry. I remember you'd have like 4 baskets of laundry, and I was like, why don't you do your laundry? Like, it's not that. And you're like, oh, I forget. And like, I don't know, you'd always have an excuse for it, but I was like,
I didn't have anywhere to put it. I have too many clothes, and I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, if I washed and cleaned, I mean, that's like an excuse. I should have just bought more dressers or something, but that was my stressor, was I had more clothes than I had space to even do with. So I was like, well, they can just stay in these baskets.
Yeah, I mean, even here, that's our problem now. We still need to get more dressers, which we haven't bought yet. And I know, like, we do our best with what we got, but both of us have a lot of clothes. Just over the years, I think both of us had a similar mindset when it came to consumerism and, like, buying wardrobes and outfits. And so therefore now,
I definitely could trim my closet for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely buy clothes these days. If I do, it might be once a year. I'll buy a couple shirts or a hat or something. I haven't bought too much of anything the last few years, but I'm still living off of what I did the last 15 years. I still have shirts that I've worn twice from when I was 18 that I've taken good care of them. Some of them I've even worn more than that, but I could be a little bit stringent with how laundry gets done, and like, so I have clothes that have lasted me quite a long time because of how I've treated and upkept my wardrobe. But needless to say, now we're at a place where we need more storage for the wardrobe we've acquired, or downsize the wardrobe, which is also an option, or a combination of both. I think is probably the realistic balance to be found there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed the laundry that you had. I even remember one time I did most of your laundry for you, because you have a thing where you'll start a load and then you'll not progress it along. You'll like throw everything in there and then you won't put it in the dryer. So I think you were at work or you were there, and I just was like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna start doing this laundry because I'm sick of looking at it. Like, if the laundry's not that hard. The worst part about laundry is folding it and putting it away.
Sorry, I don't know why. I hate doing laundry.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I don't like folding laundry.
I'll do dishes all day long. Give me dishes and I got you, but laundry, I don't know, man.
I like I said, I get it. The washing and the drying is easy because I'm not doing any of that. I'm just sorting it, putting it in, throwing it in the dryer, hanging it up to dry if I want it to dry that way. It's the folding that I'm like, oh, I got to sit here now for 10 minutes and fold this. Then that's my issue, is I don't really necessarily care for that, But yeah, even that being excluded, you were very clean, and like, it wasn't like I was like, oh wow, this girl's a mess. But it was...
Yeah, once I started living on my own, I was better about it. Like when I lived with one of my ex-boyfriends in Spokane, like it definitely was not clean. My apartment just after that was definitely not. It was absolutely empty. But then I think once I moved to Tacoma, and honestly, I can probably thank social media for this too, because once I started seeing other people's lives and how they lived, like, yes, you can look at it in a comparison type of way and be sad because you're like, oh, well, like, look at all this stuff they have. But you can also, like, I've learned a lot from there. I was telling you just yesterday, I was like, TikTok, there's all these videos on TikTok that are showing they're huge accounts that are on organization, and it's like teaching you how to organize your fridge, teaching you how to organize your closet, your car. And they have this little bag that they put, little stuff in that they keep in their car for needs when they're out and about. And I thought that was so cute. And it's like some of these things I don't think of, but I'm like, oh, that would be super easy to do. So from social media, I would see people's bedrooms that were adorable, and like I would see, where they got something. It's like, oh, Target, like Ross. I started shopping at these places, and I'm like, shit, like I have enough money to be able to make my place clean. Like it's all me. I'm like making excuses saying like, oh, like I can't have a nice place because I'm not rich. But it's like, no, you can. Like you just got to do a little bit more. But I'm kind of going to switch over. I wanted to say this before I forgot. But when you start to clean up, and like I said about, I do need to trim my closet. There is stuff that I do feel like I wear a good amount of my stuff, but like there is stuff that I could start to get rid of, because and if you're hoarding and you have all this clutter and this, mail from years ago, or garbage, or things that that you never use, and it's like those are taking up space in your life and your mind and your energy field. And if you only have so much, so it's like if you start to take some of those things away that you're not using, you open up space for the things that you do want. You're like, oh, well, I want that, I want that, I want that. But like you're all filled up, man. You got your house cluttered to shit with everything that you don't even really use, and it's just like taking up space. So even another thing of me is my inbox. I know that my email inbox is outrageous. I have thousands and thousands of emails, and I know that just opening that up and having those notifications go off all the time is not good for my brain. So I want to like declutter that, but just making space for the future, it's like you're holding on. Like there's some things obviously we're going to keep and we need and we use all the time, but really look at some of the stuff that you aren't using and haven't used for years. And that's one thing that I am very grateful for moving a lot, because if you have lived in the same house for 20 years, that's going to do it, man. You need to like check on yourself and literally do a spring cleaning, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But for me, I have moved a lot, and I've moved very distant, long distances. So I haven't always gotten to keep some of my stuff. So I have learned to restart over and over and over again, and just realizing how much stuff is like, well, I can get a new one. It's like there is certain things that I'm like, I don't necessarily have to have an attachment to this one thing. Like having detachment from the thing is really important, because there's so many other things that you can have, and in the future. Like I know that not everything I have right now I'm going to have for so many years to come. And it's like if you're attaching to this one thing that you got when I used to oh my gosh, I used to hoard things. I used to take I used to save movie tickets. I used to save bracelets from events. I used to save receipts. I used to save notes. I used to save the littlest things, because I'm like, it's sentimental to me. But it's like, Allison, you don't need these things to remember the fun time that you had, or the event that you went to. Like, you have those memories, you don't have to have this little piece of paper to prove to yourself that like you had a good time or something. But I was like, it's so meaningful to me. But I know that I picked that up. So yeah, being able to detach from some of these things is really important, because this is a big, long life, and there's a lot of stuff out there that, that you might want, and that you're really keeping from yourself from getting by holding on to the things from the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy you brought up the art of detachment, because I was thinking about that as you were speaking. I was like, ultimately, all of the clutter and stuff that we keep around comes from our attachment to it. even if it's crap and we know it's crap and our car's messy, it's still we're attached to that for the fact of we're refusing to clean it. It might be garbage and you might end up throwing all of it away, but you're still attached to some limiting belief as to why you can't clean it or you can't make the time to clean it. So even that is an attachment. And there it is, like the stuff you're saying, because I remember as a kid I used to save movie tickets and I would save little newspaper clippings and just random stuff that I thought interesting, like the Yankees won the World Series in whatever 2000 and I decided to keep my local town's newspaper headline of that. Like nobody cares about the Record Journal's headline of the New York Yankees winning the World Series. So that, like, it is ultimately the clothes we have, everything we have that isn't literally just us is an attachment. We have like you could get attached to anything ultimately. So in this regards to cleaning, like, it is important to practice that. I mean, I'm not telling everybody to go out and be minimalists, although maybe someday I aspire to be that. It would be awesome to have 5 shirts and a pair or 2 of pants and have that all down, which I've watched some documentaries on that, and those people seem to be very happy and they're really able to focus on meaningful things of life and really they have less clutter. So I do find utility in that philosophy, and I'm very far away from living a minimalist life now, but I could definitely see the less you have, the more time and energy and focus you have to putting into more meaningful things, friendships, relationships, a business you're working on, and something you're trying to create, because you're not consumed about getting the newest best shirt or hoodie, or this designer brand just dropped this, or oh, there's a new vacuum cleaner. Yeah, I got a vacuum cleaner now, but this one's better because the light's brighter on the front or something like that. So I do think that the art of detachment and trying to take care of what you have are super crucial for ultimately living a more meaningful life. I don't know if you'd like to correlate anything with that.
Yeah, I mean, mine, I feel like is kind of tied into that. But I think I just really want to say this too, that if you don't have, like, it gives me anxiety thinking about it. If you don't have a safe space to go to, like, where do you have? Like, what do you have? Because I know people personally that they absolutely do not want to be at their place of work, and they do absolutely not want to be at their place of home. And I could not even imagine that feeling. Like, obviously, I do like being home a lot, but I like to go do things, and I like to travel, and I like to go be out and about and go to the gym, and, you know, I go shopping and go to restaurants and stuff, and I'm around other people and doing stuff. But comes a point where, like, I'm kind of just ready to go home. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to get home and just chill. And I'm like, I already know that my home is cozy and it smells good and it's, you know, comfortable and it's clean and I can just relax. I can just breathe, and I have that safe haven. And I mean, there has been a time that I have, you know, lived where I didn't have that, and it makes you feel like just not good. I don't know. Like, it's just, I think that's why I like to drive so much, is because I think that my car used to be that for me, because I didn't have that at home. I didn't have, you know, and so it was like I was always just driving around, because I was like, well, I don't really want to be at home. So, like, I made, you know, my car was the coziest place for me, but it's like, obviously that wasn't, you know, I would rather have my safe space be my home and my bed and my, you know, my bathroom that's clean, and my bathtub that's clean, then I can take a shower or a bath, you know, and not go home and be like, oh my God, you know, I don't want to be home. I already know once I get there that there's going to be garbage everywhere. There's going to be dirty clothes everywhere. There's going to be dirty dishes everywhere. Like, that's just not a good feeling.
Yeah, I understand that, and that was leading me think of the places I've lived throughout the years, and I feel like I was raised with a good example on how to keep stuff clean and take care of stuff. The first place I lived, I think I did okay at keeping that clean. I don't ever remember it being like a disaster. It was a good apartment for like my first time living out by myself. Then I remember though, the Meriden apartment I lived in was a 3rd-story apartment. It was a little bit ghetto in the neighborhood. It wasn't like horribly ghetto, but it was by any means super nice. And the apartment itself wasn't the greatest either. Just, even if we kept it clean, it still is like polishing a turd. So my roommate and me at the time, I think we both kind of had that in the back of our head. So I kept my room somewhat clean based on, like, I would have people over somewhat frequently, so I wanted to make sure that my bedroom was clean, but the rest of the house was pretty messy. And then also the house was kind of just falling apart on its own from us just using it by having a very poor layout. I don't know how clean the neighbors kept their house, but so that could have been some of it. We'd get odd smells, and like honestly, that place even had roaches, and I don't think I was going anywhere with roaches. I don't think Brian was going anywhere where there was like cockroaches, but there was an abundance of cockroaches, even if we kept the place clean. Because I remember we did try our best to keep it clean. Then it just got to a point where it was a pointless battle trying to like worry about that. And so kitchen would get dirty, and then we just kind of close the kitchen down. And sometimes it'd be for months. There would just be dishes in the sink and like garbage. Well, we'd take the garbage out, I guess, but there would just be like, we wouldn't use the kitchen because we were grossed out about it. And at the time, like, that's probably the dirtiest I ever lived. So some of it's like, I'll take accountability for some of it, but it's the environment that I was probably in, just the general energy of the neighborhood, the general energy of the house, like the disrepair of the house that was beyond my control. So I didn't really take too much pride in where I lived. But like moving on from that place to other places, when you start to become a little bit more proud of where you're living, you end up taking better care of it. Like, I noticed there was always an incremental increase after I lived there, moving to other places, how much better I took care of my living situation and my environment. I would make sure stuff was clean, put away to the best of my ability. And the more time I had in a place where I was proud of living, the easier it was for me to clean, because I'm like, yeah, I like it here. I want to keep it nice. I don't want it to get into disrepair or get disorganized. So I do think where you live, as like, it does weigh on you, whether you realize it or not. You're going to take better care of a place that you're proud of than a place that you're just kind of getting by and surviving in, because but it's important to try to take those steps to get to a place where either you're going to do the repairs on your home, or you're going to figure out a way to move somewhere else and be able to have that mindset of being like, okay, I'm going to take care of this place. I'm happy that I live here. This is a nice place. I want to keep it that way. So I know moving helped me in that regard, going to different places that were nicer, and I didn't have to worry about cockroaches. It definitely made me more aware of like, all right, well, this is a good place, so let me make sure it stays nice and a good place. But
yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know that if I was not where I am today, I could be listening to this and be like, okay, well, easy to say, like, if I hate my place, but really, if you are at that place and you are not super a fan of where you live, and you're just like, I don't know, I don't know, how am I supposed to get to a place that I do love? It's like, well, have grace with yourself and understand you are where you are. So that's that. You can't change that. So you have to accept it and be okay with it. But, start to put yourself in the mindset of what it would feel like in that new apartment that you really like, or what it would feel like to be able to move to that neighborhood that you really like. Like, put yourself there. Go on tours, go visit these places and like drive through the neighborhood and literally visualize yourself being there and get excited for your next place. Like, think of the place that you're at now as a stepping stone that's getting you to where you're going to be. And I have just the place before this. I've talked about this in a couple of our podcasts, but I was not a fan of it. But I understood that I was in a financial position that I was not able to be in the place that I was not able to be in this house that we live in now. Then I knew that I had to go through go through the steps, and do the thing before I got the thing that I wanted. So once I kind of eased into that feeling, instead of dwelling upon just like, I hate this place. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to take care of it. Just say like, all right, like, this is it for now, like, once I move, like, it's a distant memory in my mind now, but at the time you just got to keep thinking about what it is that you do want, and, visualize it clean, visualize your place, being taken care of and being proud of it. And it'll get there eventually. Things are really not as far away as they seem. Sometimes things seem so far away, and like that, new promotion or that new house or that new job or whatever it may be that you want seems like it's forever, years away, but a lot can change in a short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just saying that the other day too. Like, so much changes in the course of a year. You look back on how much change, like every single year for me, since I could classify myself as an adult, a lot changes in a year. And maybe if there is a year that seems to drag, well, then it's probably going to double the following year. Like, workplaces changes, living situations change, cars change. Like, nothing in this life is permanent. Like, everything is temporary. So even if you're at a place now where you're not super thrilled about, like, everything you said is spot on. It's just a matter of, like, visualizing that, coming up with a plan how to get there.
And knowing that you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Deciding. Letting nothing else. I have been, the places that I have wanted to live, I have handpicked, and some of them I didn't really know how I was going to do it. I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to have, sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but I don't know how I'm going to make it there. But I was like, I am making this decision that come hell or high water, I am getting this place, or I am getting this car, or I am getting this promotion, or I am getting this whatever it may be. And it might not happen overnight, but literally not letting there be anything else, not swaying on my decision and being like, well, I really wanted that, but this is here now, or this is cheaper, or this is everyone else likes this thing, so I might as well just settle for. No, you pick what you want, and you don't let anything else, come between that. Decide and just do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Very passionate about that.
Yeah, definitely. If you want better for yourself, you'll figure out a way how to get there. And if it's uncomfortable, you staying stuck there and being fearful of what you want isn't going to help you ever get it. Ultimately, it comes down to your self-worth and putting yourself in maybe an uncomfortable position at first, because it's you're like, oh, well, I'm only paying $500 a month rent now. If I move there, I'm going to be paying $1,500 a month rent, or $2,000 a month rent. And I don't know if I could swing that. Based on my own experiences doing that, there is always a way that it gets figured out where, yeah, maybe you got to cut back in certain areas here and there, but ultimately it pushes your threshold to your earning capacity or your opportunities to earn more, or to be able to ultimately start live the life on the level that you're at. Even if it's if you're on one level trying to get to the next one, you're fearful of, like I said, rent, how much it's going to cost. You go there, yeah, maybe the first couple months going to be a little bit rough, going to be a little bit tight, but then all of a sudden you get a new job and you're making $2,000 more a month, or you end up starting a side hustle, or anything could happen. Based on my own personal experiences, anytime I ever had that fear and I had to start paying more money, or it always ended up turning out fine. I was never maybe the first couple months, or it was close, but I still always made it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like I was worried about, oh shit, I might get evicted now. I'd never had that ever happen to me. So
we will figure it out.
Yeah.
If there's a will, there's a way. You will figure it out. Humans do. That's how we are wired.
Yep, absolutely. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on in respects to cleanliness. I think we hit a lot of good subjects.
No, I don't think so. I think I said my piece with everything. I think that, yeah, I'm good.
And what a good piece you had.
Thank you. Yes, I this is a very, I don't know what word I should use. Not a touchy subject, but it's a subject that I have a good amount of experience in, because the amount of cleanliness and organization that I have now is much, much better than it used to be. I've seen both sides of it, and organization, cleanliness, I'm pretty good at. I give myself a lot of credit for. Organization, I'm still working on, but that is one thing. I even said this, I think, in another podcast, is that organization was one of my less strong suits, but that I have been over the years have been journaling and like stating affirmations and like I am organized. Like just stop saying that I'm disorganized. Stop saying that I'm messy. Stop telling myself that I'm just a messy person. I'm like, no, I'm not a messy person. Like I am organized. I am cleanly. I am timely. So.
Yeah, definitely the inner dialogue and what you tell yourself is important for all of that. And if you're not cleaning your space, probably reevaluating your inner dialogue would be a good place to start as to why you're procrastinating on doing it.
And start by taking care of yourself as well, because if you're not taking care of your environment, you're probably not taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So if you're, your home is your body is your home, and your home is your home. And if you're not taking care of your mind, if you're not taking care of your physical health and, checking what you put into your body, you're not going to care about what's out here. You really need to start taking care of literally your body first, and then the other stuff is going to just come easy.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. If you're eating everything you should be eating and you're working out all the time and you're looking how you want to look,
get enough sleep.
You're not going to, I could only speak for myself. People are all over the place. But my own self, like if I'm doing all of those things and I'm living in a messy environment, I'm like, oh yeah, what good is this? Great, I have abs, but I have shit everywhere all over this place.
It's all connected. It's literally becomes a domino effect.
Yeah.
It becomes a domino effect of things. It just makes everything that seems so daunting so much easier when you start taking care of yourself. And you're like, oh, you get home from the gym and you have all this energy. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to clean my kitchen. Use some of this pre-workout for something else.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is all tied together, and I'm glad you brought all that, like, to kind of wrap it up, back together. And it's super important that you just make sure your inner dialogue's good and you're aware of what you're putting into your body and keep your mental on point, and then everything else starts falling into place. But
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for joining me once again. We've got plenty more of these podcasts to come. And I want to wish everybody a great week.